Hello, and welcome. Come, find a comfortable place. Let the sounds of the world you know, the world of the bright sun and the open sky, begin to fade. Let the air grow still and close and quiet. Let go of the day's concerns. Let them drift away, like motes of dust in a forgotten sunbeam. There is nothing to do right now, nothing to solve. There is only the sound of my voice, and the story we are here to tell. A story of the before time, a story of light so bright, it could not help but cast a shadow. Breathe in, and let it go. Oh, we are going back, far back, before the first kingdoms of mortals, before the dwarves carved their first halls, before the first word was written, or the first song sung in the glades of the material plane. We are going to the dawn, to the morning of the multiverse. In this primal age, the planes themselves were new. They were vibrant and raw and saturated with the divine will of their new masters, the gods, and among all these new planes, these nascent realities, there was one that was a paradise, a reflection of idealized nature, of perfect emotion, of freedom and beauty and benevolent chaos. This plane was known as Arborea, or, in the celestial tongue, the Olympian glades of Arborea. Can you feel it? It is not a place of quiet, meditative nature. No, it is a place of passion. The air itself thrums with life. The wind that rushes through the trees doesn't just whisper. It sings, it sings, it sings in exultant, booming choirs. The rivers do not just flow, they rush and tumble with joyous laughter, their waters sparkling with an internal golden light. Arborea is a realm of infinite, colossal forests. The trees here are larger than mountains, their bark like carved jade, and their leaves the color of emeralds and sapphires. The ground is not soil and dirt, but a carpet of moss so soft, so vibrant it feels like walking on velvet. And the light is not from a single sun. The light is a golden, warm, passionate glow that seems to rise from the land itself, to pulse with the beating heart of the plain. This is a realm of chaotic good, a realm where emotion is the truest expression of the soul, where to feel joy is to become joy, where to feel love is to radiate it like a star, but where to feel righteous anger is to become the thunderstorm. And deep within this plane of perfect passionate existence, there is a heart, a realm within the realm, a place of such concentrated beauty, such profound elven artistry, that it defies mortal comprehension. This is Arvandor, the high forest. Let your mind settle here. This is the home of the elven gods, the birthplace of the elven soul. Arvandor is where the ideals of elvenkind were born. The trees here are white-barked, slender, and rise to impossible heights, their branches forming a canopy of silver and gold. The air smells of rain, and spring blossoms, and a faint sweet tang of magic, like ozone and honey. The streams are perfectly clear, the water so pure it is, said a single sip can heal a wounded heart. Here, the very stones are carved by wind and water into shapes of breathtaking beauty. Everything is art. Everything is alive. The forest itself is a conscious, loving, and watchful presence. And walking these pristine sacred groves are the gods who shaped it, the Seldarine, the fellowship of brothers and sisters of the wood. Let us meet them. Let us see them in their morning light, before any shadow had touched them. No. See, over there, where the river flows into a pool that reflects the stars, though there is no night. That is Hanali Selenil, the Lady Goldheart. She is the goddess of love, of romance, of art, and of timeless beauty. She is beauty not as vanity. She is beauty not as vanity, but as an ideal, as a thing that inspires and heals and brings joy. Her form is fluid, but always perfect. Her hair is like spun gold, her eyes the color of a summer sky. Her laughter is the sound of wind chimes, and where she walks, new flowers bloom, their petals unfolding in shades of impossible heartfelt color. She is the romantic soul of the elves. And there, deeper in the wood, leaning against the broad trunk of an oak that is as old as time itself, that is Rillifain Ralathil, the Leaf Lord. He is the god of the wilderness, of the hunt, and of the unblemished natural world. He is the protector. He appears as an elf of ancient, weathered, and profound strength. His skin is like bark, his beard is woven from green leaves, and his eyes are deep, and brown, and slow. He is the quiet presence, the stillness of the forest, the god who reminds the Seldarine that all life is connected, that nature has its own sacred unwritten laws. He is the abiding, patient heart of the woods. Look up, high above, in the silver and gold canopy, a flash of azure, blue and white. That is Eadrifenia, the winged mother. She is the goddess of the air, the sky, the birds, and of freedom. She is a goddess of wild. She is a goddess of wild, untamable joy. She is almost never on the ground, preferring to dance on the winds, her laughter echoing down from the highest branches. She is slender, her skin a faint blue, her hair and wings a riot of white feathers. She is impulse. She is the desire to be free, to see what is over the next horizon. She is the spirit of elven curiosity and freedom. And in the shadows, but not dark shadows, rather, the playful shadows of twilight, a flicker of movement, a quiet chuckle. That is Erevan Ailzir, the trickster, the green changeling, god of mischief, of change, of rogues. He is the god who reminds the Seldarine not to take themselves too seriously. He is the jester, the chameleon, who can be a fawn one moment, a sprite the next, a floating bubble of light after that. He is the spirit of cleverness, of adapting, of finding humor in all things. He is the laughter in the dusk. These are the Seldarine, a family of gods, passionate, creative, wild and free. And they are all united, all held together by one, their creator, their king, their coronal, Corellan Larethian. Indeed. Try to picture him, but know that as soon as you do, he has already changed. Corellan is the creator of the elves, and like his children, he is a being of consummate mercurial grace. He is the god of art, of magic, of war, of poetry, and of creation itself. Corellan's form is the platonic ideal of elven beauty, slender and strong and unearthly. His hair is a cascade of shimmering, silvery blue. His eyes are like sapphires, but they flicker with an internal, golden light, the fire of creation. He is often depicted in a sky blue tunic, his legendary blade Sahandrian at his side. But Corellon is more than this. He is the essence of mutability. He is both male and female. He is neither. He is both at once. He can be a chuckling stream, a teasing breeze, an incandescent beam of light, or a thunderous bolt of lightning. His mind is as fluid as his form. He is a being of endless passion, perfect serenity, and profound, ancient wisdom. He is the coronal, the divine king, but he does not rule, not in the way a king of mortals does. He does not sit on a throne and issue commands. He inspires. He leads by being the first into battle, the most daring artist, the wisest wizard. The Seldarine follow him not out of duty, but out of absolute profound love. He is their father, their brother, their leader, and their greatest creation. All at once, he loves his people, the Seldarine and the elves, with a deep, fierce, and protective fire. His only flaw, perhaps, is that his heart is so open, so loving, that he cannot imagine a heart that is not. But this pantheon, this family, is not complete. There is one more. The most beautiful, the most brilliant, the most beloved. By his side, a perfect counterpart to his mercurial light, is his consort, Araushnee. She is not Lolth, not yet. To see her now in the morning of Arvandor is to see perfection. If Corellon is the creator, Araushnee is the artisan. She is the goddess of destiny, of weavers, of artistry, of a darker, more complex, more ambitious beauty. Where Corellon's beauty is like the sun and the sky, Araushnee's is the beauty of the moon, of twilight, of the stars in a dark velvet expanse. She is the most beautiful of all the Seldarine, and none, not even Hanali Selenil, would dispute this. Her form is a perfect, dusky-skinned elven woman. Her hair is a cascade of silver, so long it trails on the ground behind her. Her eyes are like polished jet or deep amethysts, and in them, it is said, you can see the intricate webs of fate. Ow! Ow! She is the great weaver. Her hands are never still. She weaves magic. She weaves tapestries that show the future. She weaves new stars into the sky. She is the goddess of skill, of patience, of planning, while Corellon creates with a passionate, chaotic burst of inspiration. Araushnee creates with meticulous, perfect, breathtaking skill. She is the one who refines the creation, the one who makes it better. And Corellon adores her. He has settled his mercurial form, for the first time, to be her perfect counterpart. He is the warrior. She is the warrior. She is the sun. She is the moon. He has gifted her powers above all others. She is his queen, his wife, his truest love. And she loves him, doesn't she? Here, in the perfect eternal morning of Arvandor, the Seldarine dance and sing and create. The air is full of magic and love and light. And in the heart of this light, in the mind of the most beautiful, the most brilliant, the most beloved queen, a single, quiet, dark thread is beginning to be woven. A thought, a question. Why is he king? Why is he the coronal? Why is he the sun? And I, merely the moon? Oh, here, In paradise, the first shadow is born, not from an outside enemy, not from a monster, but from an unquiet heart, the heart of Araushnee. Rest now. Let this image of paradise settle. The silver-barked trees, the golden light, the happy dancing gods. Feel the warmth, the perfection, the love. For this is the light that will be lost. This is the paradise that will be broken. And the higher the perch, the brighter the light, the more terrible the fall into darkness. We will continue this story, but for now, just rest. Breathe in, and let the image of Arvandor rest. This perfect paradise, this divine family, was not born in a vacuum. Their home was built in the aftermath of a war so vast, it shaped the very firmament of the multiverse, the Dawn War. Before Arvandor's morning, there was only the primal, churning chaos. From this chaos, two forces arose. On one hand, the gods, beings of thought, of ideal, of order, and of purpose, beings like Corellon and the Seldarine. On the other, the primordials, beings of raw, manifest entropy, godlike entities of pure fire, unthinking earth, raging ice, and howling wind. The primordials forged the first worlds from this raw chaos, vast and untamed. The gods, in their nature, looked upon this work and saw a canvas. They began to add their ideals. They resolved the churning elements into oceans and land. They diffused the light into a sun and moon. And most crucially, they gave these worlds permanence. Natio, to the primordials, beings of constant, endless change, this was anathema. And so, war began. The Dawn War, a conflict that tore reality apart and put it back together. The gods fought for structure, for creation, for existence. The primordials fought for the endless, screaming, beautiful chaos of uncreation. And in this war, gods were forged in battle. Among the divine, some were known for their magic, some for their artistry, and some for their strength. There was one, a god of pure, unadulterated conquest, of primal might and unyielding battle lust. His name was Groomsh. He was a god of legendary wrath and physical prowess. In the Dawn War, he was a champion. He slew primordials great and small. He slew primordials great and small, winning countless victories for the side of the gods. He was strength, he was fury, and he demanded respect. Corellon, by contrast, was a latecomer to the war. His distractible, mercurial nature kept him at the edges of the conflict, but when he finally joined, the sight of him on the battlefield, wielding both magic and his blade, was so majestic, so terrifyingly beautiful, that he was praised as a savior. Indil, and Groomsh, who had bled for eons in the trenches of this war, watched the praise heaped upon this beautiful late-coming artist, and he grew spiteful. A dark, bitter jealousy took root in his heart. Eventually, the gods were victorious. The primordials were defeated, slain or sealed away in the elemental planes, and so the time came for the victors to divide the spoils, to draw lots, to decide which of the newly made mortal worlds their peoples would inhabit. This is the moment, the turning point, the moment the first crack appeared in the divine order. All the gods convened. The lots were prepared. Moran, the soul forger, father of the dwarves, drew his lot. He received the riches of the deep earth, the high mountains, the promise of stone and forge. Glittergold, the great gnome, drew his lot, and received the sunlit, rocky hills, perfect for his clever burrowing people. Yondala, the mother of halflings, drew her lot, and was given the rolling fields, the warm meadows, and the peaceful pastoral lands. Corellon Lorathion, he drew the lot which gave him the green forests, the bright woodlands, the places of ancient sylvan beauty. And then, with all the lots drawn, the gods turned to Groomshire, and they laughed. All the lots are taken, Groomsh, they taunted him. Where will your people dwell? There is no place left. Perhaps it was a prank, a careless, thoughtless, divine jest, born of arrogance and the giddy relief of victory. Perhaps it was Corellon's idea, a playful, ill-played trick on the god of strength he had always found so blunt and artless. It does not matter. In that moment, Groomsh, the great champion of the Dawn War, stared at his fellow gods. He saw their smiles, he saw their mockery, he saw their disrespect. And his eyes fell on Corellon, the worst of his offenders, the object of his secret, jealous rage. A silence fell upon the world. A silence fell upon the world. Groomsh's wrath and hatred, seething within him, finally boiled over. He lifted his great iron spear, a weapon that had slain primordials. He stretched it across the sky, and the shaft was so vast, it blotted out the sun over a great part of the land. And he spoke, his voice not a word, but a rumble of thunder that shook the foundations of the world. "No," he growled, "you lie. You have rigged the drawing, hoping to cheat me. There is no place for the orcs to dwell, you say. I disagree. I disagree. They will dwell here." His spear pierced the mountains, opening mighty rifts and chasms. And here, the spear had split the hills, shaking them, covering them in dust. And here, the black spear gouged the meadows, making them barren. There is where the orcs shall dwell, in the places you have left, in the places I have made, and they shall survive, and they shall multiply, and they shall grow stronger, and the day will come when they cover the world. And they shall slay all of your collected peoples. The gods were horrified. Corellon, seeing his joke had gone terribly, terribly too far, attempted to calm the orc father, to tell him it was done in jest, that no harm was meant. But it was too late. Groomsh leapt at Corellon. The battle that followed was a clash of titans, a war between two ideals, the raw, brutal power of the orc god against the mercurial, magical majesty of the elf god. Their battle, it is said, stretched across worlds, across plains. The blood of both gods spilled across the new lands. But in the end, Corellon was victorious. His sword, Sahandrian, flashed out, and he struck the orc god's left eye, carving it from his face. The now one-eyed god, Groomsh One-Eye, howled, cursing Corellon, cursing all of elven kind. He was forced to retreat, his rage absolute, his hatred now eternal. Corellon stood victorious, wounded, but the victor, and it is said that from the blood he spilled upon the earth that day, his own divine magical blood, the first of the elves sprang forth into being, his children, born of his magic, and born of his first great war. And Grumsh retreated into the darkness, to nurse his wound, to feed his hatred, to wait. He became a god of pure focused, unending malice. He hates Corellon. He hates the Seldarine. He hates the elves. He waits in his dark, broken lands for any sign of weakness, for any opportunity for revenge. He is an ancient, festering wound in the side of the divine, a bitter, one-eyed god, dreaming of the day he can fulfill his oath. He is a loaded weapon, pointed directly at the heart of Arvandor, and now, all he needs is for someone to pull the trigger. Rest here, let the echoes of that battle fade, the shouts of rage, the clash of divine steel. Feel the quiet that follows, a quiet that is not peace, but a pause, a long, terrible pause, filled with the seething hatred of a defeated god, waiting in the shadows, waiting in the shadows. Let the echo of that primal scream fade. Let the image of Grumsh one-eyed and howling in the darkness dissolve. Breathe in and return. Exhale and out. Return to the silver-white trees of Arvandor. Return to the golden light, the singing streams, the air that tastes of magic and honey. It is all just as we left it. Perfect, passionate, eternal. Corellon, the coronal, has returned from his battle. His wound is healed, his victory is celebrated. The first elves, born from his spilled blood, are now walking in his shadow, new and changeable and bright. And the Seldarine, his family, rejoice in their safety. Being with you, all is well, isn't it? Let us draw closer, past the celebrating gods, past the dancing sprites. Let us move through the crystalline halls of the divine palace, to the chambers of the queen. Here, in the heart of paradise. She is here, Araushnee. She sits before her great loom, the loom upon which she weaves the destinies of mortals. Her silver hair curtains her back, her perfect dusky-skinned hands move with a grace that is hypnotic. They pluck at threads of light, threads of shadow, weaving a pattern of breathtaking complexity. And now, and two, she is the most beautiful, she is the most brilliant, she is the queen, and she is unquiet. Listen past the sound of the loom. Listen to the silence behind the sound. Listen to the thoughts within the mind of the weaver. Consort. The word is a thread, but it doesn't just pass through her fingers. It catches, it snags, it feels wrong. Consort, beloved, queen. All words for the one who stands beside, the one who stands second. Nitinidio, enti. She looks at her loom, at the destiny she weaves. She is the goddess of destiny. She knows what things are meant to be. She can see the grand design. And when she looks at her husband, Corellon, she sees a being of light, yes, a being of beauty, a being of art. But he is not a king, not truly. He is a creator, not a ruler. He is a warrior, not a strategist. He is a being of impulse, of passion, of endless, chaotic, changeable whims. He is content. He is content to dance, and sing, and create, and then, in a moment of passion, go to war. He has no plan. Her hands stop their weaving. The silence in the room is sudden, profound. She has a plan. She has always had a plan. Oh, the elves, their children, they are not just another race. They are the race. They are the pinnacle of creation, born of divine blood, blessed with beauty, grace, and magic. They are superior. This is the truth that Araushnee knows in her heart. The elves are not meant to simply coexist with the brutish dwarves, the comical gnomes, the lowly halflings. They are not meant to hide in the woods. They are not meant to hide in the wood. They are meant to rule. They are meant for greatness, for dominion, a grand, multiverse-spanning elven empire, with her and Corellon at its head, with her vision and his power. She had spoken of such things to him. In the privacy of their chambers, in the twilight hours, she had whispered this enticing tale, this grand destiny she had seen for their people. And Corellon laughed. He didn't just disagree. He didn't debate. He laughed. He treated her vision, her grand design, as a child's fancy. He had chid her, as if she were a flighty, impetuous, foolish girl. He, who could take the form of a chuckling stream, who was the very essence of impulse, dared to call her ambitious vision childish. He had adored her. He had lavished upon her gifts and power and magic of the highest order. But he had not listened. He had not respected her. He had not seen her as his equal. In that moment, something in Araushnee's perfect divine heart broke. The love she felt, the deep admiration for this bright, passionate god. It did not just fade, it soured. Admiration turned to jealousy. Why did he hold the title of coronal? He, who had no vision for it. Jealousy turned to resentment. He held the power, and he wasted it. He held her back. He stood in the way of their people's true destiny. And resentment, nursed in the dark, quiet chambers of her heart, over eons it festered. It turned into a cold, hard, perfect thing, a seething hatred. And a town. Who was he to laugh at her? Who was he to mock her? The most beautiful, the most skilled, the one who truly understood what it meant to lead. Who was Corellon to give her power? Her hands return to the loom. They move again, faster now, plucking at the dark threads. True power, she thinks, is not given. It is seized. And so, the weaver began to weave a new destiny, a new tapestry, one of her own design. She began to plot. She did not rage like Grumsh. She was an artist. Her treason would be a masterpiece. She sowed the seeds of discord, quietly, a whisper here, to Hanali, about how Corellon's impulsiveness endangered them. A word there, to Rilliphane, about how Corellon's focus on art neglected the true, wild heart of the forest. She looked for the small, invisible cracks in the unity of the Seldarine, and with her slender, perfect fingers, she began to pull them open. She found a true ally, not in the bright happy gods, but in one who, like her, felt himself apart, Fenmarel Mestarine, the elven god of outcasts, the lone wolf, aloof, self-serious, and forever in the shadows. She went to him. She seduced him, not just with her body, but with her mind. She preyed on his isolation, his pride. She told him he was the only one who understood, and she drew him away from his fellows, making him her first secret conspirator. Oh, and then her children, her firstborn son, Feheraun, Fires. He was born of her ambition. He was a god of shadow, of trickery, of war. He was her son, through and through. She raised him in her own image. She taught him to see his father, Corellon, as she did, as a weak, flighty, artless fool. She nurtured his disdain, honed his ambition. He became her confidant, her lieutenant, her willing, eager hand. And her daughter, Nihi, Elistri, Indesero, Yes. Arausnee's face tightens. A flicker of something passes through her dark amethyst eyes. Elistri. She was all Corellon. All light, all song, all dance, all innocent, naive joy. She adored her father. She was a creature of goodness, and grace, and strength. Araushnee looked at her daughter, and she had little use for this one. This child was not a player. She was not an ally. She was a tool, a piece to be set on the board, a thread to be used in the grand, dark design, at the perfect, terrible moment. The web was being spun, the first, dark strands invisible to all. The heart of Arvandor's queen, once a font of perfect beauty, was now a cold, dark void, filled with a singular, perfect, and patient ambition. The paradise is already lost. They just don't know it yet. Rest now, rest in this false, beautiful quiet, for the first great treason is about to be set in motion. The weaver is ready to test her new design. Breathe in. Feel the stillness of Araushnee's weaving room. The cold, ambitious silence. Now, let it go. We are moving. We are following her. Araushnee rises from her loom. The dark tapestry is unfinished, but the first threads are strong. Now, she must leave the safety of Arvandor. Now, she must travel. Let us travel with her, not as ourselves, but as a shadow, as a secret. She wraps herself in a cloak woven from the darkest twilight, an artifact of her own making that can fool the eyes of other gods. She steps out of the golden light of Arvandor. She crosses the passionate, singing glades of Arborea, and she descends, down through the plains, past the material worlds, past the realms of lore, down into the lower plains, where the air is thick and hot, and smells of blood and iron. She travels to the plains of chaos and evil. She finds the plain of Acheron, a place of endless, crashing cubes of iron, where the air is filled with the clang of eternal, pointless battle. And here, in a fortress of rusted, broken blades, she finds him, Grumsh. He sits on a throne of skulls, his one baleful eye burning with a hateful red light. The wound Corellon gave him, the empty socket, is a void of eternal, unquenchable rage. He sees her, the consort of his most hated foe. His first instinct is to destroy her. His great, black spear leaps to his hand. But Araushnee does not flinch. She is a goddess of destiny, of the mind. She knows that raw power is a blunt, foolish thing. She does not meet his rage with power. She meets it with a promise. She lowers her hood, her perfect, unearthly beauty, so out of place in this iron hell, shines like a dark star. One eye, she whispers, and her voice is not like the singing streams of Arvandor. It is like silk, drawn over a razor's edge. You hate him. Grumsh growls, a sound like an avalanche. You want him dead. He took my eye. The orc god roars, and the fortress shakes. He humiliated me, Araushnee says, and the pain in her voice is a work of art, a perfect, flawless lie. He holds me as a prize, a consort, not an equal. He laughs at me, just as he laughed at you. She lets the words hang in the hot, metallic air. She has found the thread, she pulls it. He is weak, she continues. All art, no strength. All song, no will. You proved it, you almost had him. You would have, had he not been a coward. Grumsh's one eye narrows. He is listening. He is a fool, Araushnee says, her voice dropping. A proud, beautiful, arrogant fool. And proud fools are easy to break. He beat me, Grumsh spits. Hishisiento. Ya. Gao. Because of his blade, Araushnee counters, smooth as glass. His magic Sahandrian. What if he did not have it? What if in your next battle, his most precious, his most trusted tool, failed him? Grumsh is silent. His rage is now focused. Challenge him again. Araushnee whispers, stepping closer. The goddess of elven beauty, standing before the god of orcish hate, challenge him to a duel. One-on-one, no magic, just strength. His pride will not let him refuse. He will meet you, blade to spear. And when he does, she says, her amethyst eyes glittering, his blade will shatter. Why? Grumsh growls, suspicious. Why would you do this? Because, Araushnee says, and her smile is a thing of cold, terrible beauty. His kingdom will be mine, and your revenge will be your reward. You will have his head, I will have his throne, and the elves will finally have a ruler who is not afraid to lead. The bargain is struck. The unholy alliance is sealed. Araushnee returns to Arvandor. No one has noticed her absence. Corellon is busy, composing a new sonnet. The Seldarine are dancing. Arvandor is lost in its own perfect, naive joy. Araushnee goes to the halls of her husband. She goes to where his weapons are kept. There, on a stand of polished white wood, is his scabbard. The scabbard of Sahandrian. Endiyang, Sechei, Enter Khan. She runs her perfect fingers over the ancient elven runes, runes of protection, runes of sharpness, runes of strength. She is the goddess of artisans. She knows runes. She knows weaving. And she knows how to unweave. She begins her work. Endless. It is not a quick, brutal curse. It is art. She sits for a day and a night, her hands tracing the patterns. She does not break the magic. She alters it. She twists it. She weaves a new dark secret thread into the heart of the scabbard's magic. She weaves a rune of unmaking, a subtle dormant curse, so deeply, so cleverly hidden, that not even Corellon himself would feel it. A curse that dictates that the next blade drawn from this scabbard, in the heat of true mortal combat, will be undone. It will shatter, its magic turned in on itself, its essence scattered to the winds. She finishes, she stands. The scabbard looks exactly as it did. Perfect, powerful. A perfect, beautiful lie. Aui, dene, denil chipsawa, and kuyu down. Her work is done. Now, she simply has to wait. The challenge comes. A roar from the lower plains, a challenge from Groomsh that shakes the heavens. He demands a rematch, a duel of honor. Corellon laughs. He finds the orc god's persistence charming in a brutish way. Araushnee is at his side. My love, she whispers, her hand on his arm. He insults your honor, this beast. He will not stop until you show him the finality of your strength. Go, meet him. But shame him. Swear to use no magic. Swear to meet him with steel alone. Show the multiverse that your skill as a warrior is as great as your power as a god. Do this for me, for our people's honor. Her words are like honeyed wine. Corellon, his heart filled with pride and with love for this brilliant, supportive queen, agrees. He swears the oath. He travels to the appointed place, a barren, neutral plain of dust and rock. And Groomsh is waiting. The orc god, his heart pounding with the promise of revenge, howls and charges. Corellon, serene, his face a mask of perfect warrior's calm, reaches for his blade. He grips the hilt of Sahandrian. For Arvandor, he cries. He draws the sword. Ban, ale, nt. It comes free of the scabbard. And for one single horrifying moment, it hangs in the air, perfect, shimmering. And then it shatters. Not just breaks, it disintegrates. The legendary blade, the gift of the gods, explodes into a billion glittering shards of light, its magic instantly, catastrophically undone by the dark weave of Araushnee. Corellon's face, the shock, the absolute, uncomprehending horror. He stands, holding a useless hilt, and Groomsh, in a moment of pure ecstatic triumph, does not hesitate. His great black spear, which had been aimed to parry the blade, now has no target. It drives forward, and its barbed black iron point tears through Corellon's side, through divine flesh and armor. A grievous, terrible wound. Corellon falls to his knees, his own silvery blue blood pouring onto the dust. He stares at the empty hilt in his hand. Treachery. Yeah. It's the only answer. An elven god, only elven high magic, could counter the magic of Sahandrian. Groomsh stands over him, his one eye weeping tears of joyous blood, He raises his spear for the killing blow. This is it, the end of the coronal, the end of the elves. Arausnee's first great treason is a perfect success. Or is it? For a gaze, a sight, a sense that is not of Arvandor, and not of the lower planes, has been watching. A gaze that Araushnee, in her arrogance, in her dark, brilliant, focused ambition, has forgotten. The gaze of the moon. And, under gaze of the moon, rest now, let the image of Corellon, kneeling and bleeding, hang in the darkness. Feel the cold triumph of Grumsh, feel the cold triumph of Araushnee, watching from afar. This is her first, failed, victory, for the moon. The moon sees all. Breathe in, and let the image of the fallen god settle. The shattered sword, the crimson-stained dust. Let it go. Let it go. Because Araushnee and Grumsh were not the only ones watching. They forgot about the moon. You can forget about the moon, can't you? It is so often there, silent, pale, and distant. It is the quiet observer, the watcher that does not speak. It simply sees. In Arvandor, there is a goddess who is the moon's very soul. Inj. Sehanina Moonbor. Yanen. Dandierde 13. Her name is a whisper, the Lady of Dreams, the Lunar Lady, goddess of moonlight and of mysteries, goddess of prophecy, of illusions, of the mists that hide the future, and she is the goddess who gently guides elven spirits to their rest. She is the beginning and the end. She is the most ancient of the Seldarine. It is said she was born of the very first drop of blood Corellon spilled in his first battle with Grumsh. She was the first to make him aware of his own mortality, the first to hear his laugh of delight, the first to calm his rages, the first to love him. Aye. Her love for Corellon is not the passionate, ambitious, possessive love of Araushnee. It is deeper, quieter. Like the night sky itself, it is the love of the one who knows. Araushnee is the goddess of destiny, which she sees as a thing to be woven, to be controlled. Angtan and Sao. Sehanina is the goddess of mystery, which she knows is a thing to be understood. And so, from her place in the silver night sky of Arvandor, she watched. She, alone, sensed the first dark, discordant thread in Araushnee's heart. She, alone, felt the subtle, twisted lie woven into Corellon's scabbard. She is the goddess of illusions. She knows a false weave when she sees one. She watched, her heart turning to ice, as Araushnee spun her web. She watched the unholy bargain with Grumsh. And when Corellon went to battle, she watched, her entire being, a silent silver scream of no. She saw the sword shatter, she saw the spear strike. And in that moment, when Araushnee's plot was a breath from completion, when Grumsh raised his spear for the final killing blow, Sehanine moved. She did not wait. She did not ask permission. She fell from the heavens. She was not a gentle moonbeam. She was a silver comet, a bolt of pure, cold, lunar fury. She burst onto the barren battlefield in a flash of blinding, incandescent silver light. Grumsh, his one eye fixed on his dying prey, was suddenly, agonizingly blinded by this impossible brilliant light. He howled, staggering back, his spear swinging wild. Araushnee's most trusted agent, her son Vaharaun, who was watching from the shadows to ensure the kill, was also seared by the light, forced to retreat. The perfect assassination was ruined. Sehanina did not pause to fight. She was not there for vengeance. She was there to save. She rushed to Corellan's side. He was kneeling, his lifeblood, the blood of the gods, pouring into the dust. He was dying. She placed her cool silver hand over the terrible wound. Her divine power, the power of moonlight, of healing, of mystery, flowed into him. It did not just heal the flesh. It countered the dark, orcish venoms on the spear. It sealed the wound. Then, she looked at the hilt in his hand, and the billion, glittering shards of Sahandrian scattered on the ground. Her heart broke, but her will did not. She is the goddess of moonlight. And what is moonlight but the reflection of a greater light? She raised her hand, and the scattered, dead fragments of the sword obeyed. They flew from the dust. They swirled in the air around her, a storm of glittering silver light. She gathered them in her magic, a whirlwind of shattered hope, and she poured her own magic into them. She poured her love, her sorrow, her cold, her sorrow, her cold. Righteous fury, she took the broken pieces, and with the power of the moon, she made them whole. The sword was reforged, Sahandrian was reborn. Ijilai. It was not the same blade. It was more. It was still Corellan's sword, all light and magic and fire. But now, it gleamed with a new, cold, silver light. A lunar light. A light that promised to see in the dark. A light that promised to cut through all illusions. It was a sword reborn, just as its master was. Corellan. His strength returned, his wound sealed, his blade alive in his hand, rose to his feet. He looked at Sehanine, and in her pale silver eyes, he saw the truth. He saw the love, and he saw the fury. Grumsh, his vision returning, saw his prey standing. He saw the moon witch who had undone his triumph. He saw the restored blade, and the orc god, the god of endless war, did the first tactical strategic thing he had ever done. He fled. He howled, he cursed, he swore vengeance, but he retreated. He knew in this moment he was beaten. Silence. The barren, dusty plain was empty, save for the two elven gods. Corellan, the coronal, his mind reeling from the poison, the pain, the betrayal, looked at his restored sword. Treachery, he whispered. His voice was hoarse. Only one of our own could have done this. Sehanina Mumbo, her silver light fading back to a gentle, sad glow, looked at her king, her love, and she knew who. She could have told him. She could have spoken the name. Araushnee. But she was the goddess of mysteries, of secrets. To speak that name now, to accuse the queen, the most beloved, with no proof but her own sight. It would not be believed, not by him, not by the Seldarine, Corellan. His heart so open would reject it. It would be her word, against his wife's. It would be a new war. A war of words, a war that would tear Arvandor apart, just as Araushnee wanted. No. This was not the way. She put her hand on his arm. You are wounded, she said, her voice the first sound of comfort, in heart and in soul. Let us go home. Let us be watchful. Corellon returned to Arvandor, not in triumph, but in shadow. And Araushnee was there to greet him. Endel. Her face was a perfect, flawless mask of horror, of relief, of fury. My love, she cried, rushing to him. You are hurt. Who has done this? What foul magic? What monster has dared? She clung to him. She wept. She demanded the Seldarine find this traitor. And Sehanine stood in the back, in the shadow of a silver pillar. She watched the queen's performance, the artful, perfect lie. Araushnee's plot had failed. She had not killed Corellon. She had not gained the throne. She had only created a new, restored Sahandrin. And she had revealed her hand to the one single being in the multiverse she should have feared. The cold, silent war had just begun. Araushnee in her chambers, furious and frustrated, now knew she had a rival, a true rival, not a warrior, not a fool, a watcher in town, a witness. She had to be more careful, and she had to find a way to get rid of Sehanine Moonbow. Breathe in and feel the silver light of the moon. Feel the quiet, watchful, knowing gaze of Sehanine. Now, breathe out and feel the darkness in the heart of the queen. The plot has failed. Corellon lives. Arvandor settles back into its false peace. The songs return to the streams. The light returns to the glades. Corellon, though his heart is now troubled by the idea of treachery, has no one to blame. He is surrounded by his loving family. And Araushnee is the most loving of all. She is a vision of wifely devotion. She barely leaves his side. She is the one who tends to his worries, her voice a perfect silver bell of comfort. She is the one who rails the loudest against this unknown traitor, who demands that the Seldarine find the wretch who dared to unmake Sahandrian. She is playing the part of the queen, and the part of the victim, Niall. And Sehanine is silent. Ow. The two goddesses, the queen and the moon. They now exist in a state of cold, terrible, polite war. They will meet in the high halls, and they will smile. And Araushnee's dark amethyst eyes will say, You have no proof. You will never have proof. He will never believe you. And Sehanine's pale, silver eyes will reply, I do not need proof. I am the witness, and I am watching. Araushnee, in her private chambers, has never known such rage. She, the goddess of destiny, the grand weaver, the most brilliant mind in Arvandor, outdone, out-silent, moping lunar goddess. She had underestimated Sehanine. She had underestimated Corellon's luck. She had underestimated the bonds of love that she herself found so foolish. She will not make that mistake again. Her first plan was a work of art, a subtle, sharp, perfect stroke. It failed. Her hands clench, the threads on her loom snap. So be it. Nachadian. Ichio. So. RD. She is done with subtlety. She is done with a single elegant stroke. If a scalpel will not work, she will use a bludgeon. If Arvandor will not accept her as its rightful ruler, then Arvandor will be conquered. If the Seldarine, in their blissful naive ignorance, will not follow her, then they will be replaced. She must build an army, but not an army of mortals, not an army of elves, an army of gods, an army of all the things Arvandor is not, an army of hate and rage and cold and darkness. An anti-Seldarine, Indenti-Seldarine. Now, Ijtashawi, Istel down. And this is not a task for her. Not now. She is being watched. She must remain in Arvandor, playing the part of the loving, grieving queen. But her son, Bernard Veraun, said Tios. He comes to her in her dark weaving room, moving like a shadow. His face is a mask of ambition, just like hers. He, too, is furious. He, too, feels the sting of this failure. Mother, he hisses, the Moon Witch. The Moon Witch does not matter. Araushnee cuts him off, her voice like ice. She is a symptom. The disease is Corellon. The disease is this soft, artless, foolish paradise. We are done trying to cure it. We will cleanse it. She tells him her new plan, a plan of open, overwhelming, divine war. And Veraun smiles. This is the queen he adores. This is the vision he shares. I will be your emissary, he says, his voice eager. I will be your hand in the darkness. And so, Veraun, the Masked Lord, the god of shadows, cloaks himself in his mother's dark magic and travels, unseen, from Arvandor. He descends, just as she did. But he does not go to Grumsh. Grumsh is a fool, a broken tool. Veraun goes to the others, to the ones who hate the very idea of Arvandor. Ah, let us follow him. He travels first to a place of primal, savage, red and black wilderness, a plain that stinks of blood and fur and fear. The very trees here are made of bone, and the wind is not a song, it is a howl, the howl of the hunter, and the scream of the prey. Nil, Sorens. This is the home of Malar, the Beast Lord. Malar is a god of pure, unadulterated, savage, and cruel bloodlust. He is the thrill of the hunt. He is the rending of flesh. Veraun finds him in the form of a great black beast, a nightmare of claws and fangs, standing over the divine broken body of a slain unicorn god. Beast Lord, Veraun says, his shadow form not even flinching. Oh, but is said God. And there, Malar turns, his eyes glowing red and mad. My mother, the Queen of Arvandor, sends her regards. Veraun says. She finds your art to be compelling. Arvandor, Malar growls, his voice a wet, tearing sound. Soft prey, no challenge. Exactly, Veraun says. It is a park, a garden, filled with soft, perfect untouched prey, the Seldarine, the elves, the children of Corellon. Imagine the great hunt in the halls of Corellon himself. Imagine your claws on the throat of Airdrie Fania. Imagine your fangs in the heart of the Leaf Lord. Malar is still, his head cocks, his red mad eyes narrow. Our, what is the promise? Malar snarls. The hunt of an eon. Veron whispers, Arvandor is yours to run. The bargain is struck. Veron leaves the blood-soaked plain. He travels. To cold, he goes to a place of perfect blue-white, beautiful ice. A place of endless silent glaciers. A place where the sky is the color of a frozen dead eye. The only sound is the crack of ice and the faint, high-pitched whine of a wind so cold it freezes the soul. Here, on a throne of ice, sits Auril, the Frost Maiden. She is a goddess of cold, not just the cold of winter, but the cold of cruelty, the cold of stasis. She hates passion, she hates warmth, she hates life. Lady, Pharaoh's eyes, his shadow seeming to freeze and crack at the edges. She does not look at him. She stares out at her perfect, beautiful, dead kingdom of ice. Arvandor, Pharaoh's eyes, a place of eternal, passionate, disgusting summer, a realm of hot, sticky, teeming life. Auril shudders, her first sign of emotion, disgust. My mother, Veron says, wishes to give you a gift, a piandian, a place of such unbearable warmth that to freeze it would be the single greatest work of art you have ever conceived. Imagine, Pharaoh whispers, his voice barely a sound in the crackling cold air. Amchi Distal, the passionate heart of Hanali Selenil, frozen solid. Imagine the singing streams silent, still, perfect. Imagine the golden light of Corellon's halls, encased in your beautiful blue ice. Auril turns her head. Her face is a mask of perfect, beautiful, unfeeling ice. The promise, she whispers, her voice the sound of a frozen lake, cracking. All of it, Veron says. It will be your masterpiece. The bargain is struck. Veron leaves the cold. He goes to the iron, clanging hell of Acheron, but not to Grumsh's hall. He goes to the home of Maglubiet, the god of goblins and hobgoblins, the god of war, but not the war of passion, the war of tyranny, of iron, of endless grinding, merciless order. Veron finds him on a throne of iron, reviewing an endless marching legion of goblin souls, their feet a single, thunderous stamping sound. Maglubiet does not like visitors. Nay, great general, Veron says, my mother, the Queen of Arvandor, requires your strategic genius. She is besieged by chaos, by art, by freedom. Maglubiet's burning, yellow eyes narrow. He hates freedom. She offers you a new legion, a new people, the elves, so arrogant, so magical, so strong. Imagine their magic, their discipline. Turn to your will. Imagine elven slaves in your iron forges. Imagine an elven front in your endless and perfect Wa Ni. Maglubiet does not speak. He does not need to. He simply nods. His legions will march. The bargain is struck. One last journey. Faraon has the hunt. He has the cold. He has the war. But his mother wants to ensure this. She wants chaos. She wants an enemy that even the gods of Arvandor will fear. Faraon descends. In Gilinisanen Sayaramal. He goes to a place that is not a place, a dark, forgotten, rotting corner of the multiverse, a place that smells of ammonia and rot and the dark sucking sound of things that should not be beat. He goes to the realm of Gornadar. Nishal Idiao Kananij Sarash Said. That which lurks, the elder eye, a god of oozes, of slimes, of abominations, a primal, ancient, obscene evil. This is not a god you make a bargain with. This is not an alliance. This is a heresy. And this is a god so ancient, so foul, that even the other dark gods fear it. Even Araushnee had hesitated. But she is done. With hesitation, Faraon does not enter. He stands at the edge of the swirling, formless, sentient filth. He does not make a promise. He does not offer a deal. He simply opens a door. My mother, Araushnee, he says, his voice cold and steady, wives the wards of Arvandor. She invites you to feed. A sound, a low, gurgling, slurping sound. A vast, formless, tentacled thing rises from the ooze. And Gornadar, that which lurks, accepts. Following, the horde is gathered. The anti-Seldarine, the beast, the ice, the iron, and the void. They are hidden. They are waiting in the dark outer reaches of the plains, waiting for Araushnee's signal. Waiting for her to make the first move. Waiting for her to create the one diversion, the one single terrible tragedy that will allow her to lower the wards of Arvandor, unseen. And for that, she needs a patsy, a tool. Her eyes, in the false, loving light of Arvandor, turn to her daughter, Alistrae, the dark maiden, the dancer, the innocent owl, the perfect, unsuspecting sacrifice. Breathe in, hold that breath. Feel the tension, the potential energy, the coiled, terrible stillness just before the snap. Arvandor is holding its breath. Endi, Alistrae is in her glade, clutching the silver arrow, her heart a storm of fear, pride, and terrible purpose. Araushnee is in her chambers, dark eyes closed, her senses spread out like the strands of a web, feeling her pieces move into place. Viron is at the border, Malaa is hungry, Auril is waiting. Seanina Moonbow is watching. Her silver-white hand is on her heart. She feels it, a wrongness, a sickness in the weave of fate. The air in Arvandor, once smelling of honey and magic, now smells of ozone, like the air before a lightning strike. Araushnee opens her eyes. Now. She does not move. She does not speak. But with a single dark flex of her divine will, she plucks at the great ancient magical wards of Arvandor, the wards that keep the high forests safe from invasion. She does not break them, not yet. She loosens them. She creates a flaw, a single tiny tear in the tapestry of their defense. On the other side of that tear, her son Veron gives the signal. Ishi Simun. Aidiane. The first wave is unleashed. It is not the full horde. It is the test, the distraction. Now, from the north comes a wind that does not sing but howls. It is not the fresh, cool breeze of Erdrefenia. It is a wind of ice, so cold it freezes the leaves on the trees, turning them from gold and silver to brittle, black, dead frost. The goddess Auril has arrived. From the east, a sound, a howl, a primal, savage, blood-mad roar. The sound of 1,000 nightmare beasts hunting. The ground, once soft moss, is torn by 1,000,000 claws. The trees are splattered with blood. Mala, the beast's lord, and his hunt have been loosed. From the west, the worst sound, marching, the thud-thud of 1,000,000 iron-shod boots stamping, crushing the perfect sylvan floor of Arvandor. The air fills with the stench of goblin filth and the harsh, guttural war cries of Maglubiate's legions. Gao, Ishalaha, and Akaunat Sail. The invasion has begun. Alarm! The cry echoes through Arvandor. The Seldarine are shocked. How? How is this possible? But they are gods. They are warriors. Erdrefenia, the winged mother, screams in rage. This cold, this ice in her sky. She bursts from the treetops, a cyclone of azure feathers and righteous fury, and meets the Frost Maiden in a midair, cataclysmic explosion of wind and ice. The sky shatters with their battle. Rilifena Ralatil, the Leaf Lord, his quiet, deep eyes burning with the slow, terrible forest's rage, rises from the earth. The ancient trees wake, their bark-skinned arms, their roots as thick as towers, rise and smash into the charging, slavering beasts of Malar. Eravani Laser, the trickster, his laughter gone, his face a mask of cold fey mischief, leads the sprites, pixies, and centaurs in a guerrilla war of 1,000 poisoned arrows, 1,000 illusions, 1,000 traps against the marching, iron-shod fools of Maglubiant. Nancy Chio, Jantkai, Ashtar Dion, and Corellin Larethian. His face is terrible. This defilement, this invasion of his home, his sorrow, his confusion, his fear of betrayal, all gone, replaced by the white-hot fury of the coronal. Zahandrian, the reforged blade of sun and moon, leaps into his hand. It shines with a light so bright it incinerates the first wave of goblin kine. For Arvandor, he roars, his voice the thunder that follows lightning. Nin. He leads the charge. The battle is joined. It is chaos. It is war. And in her high glade, Ilistri is terrified. It is happening, just as her mother said. She draws her bow. She notches the silver arrow. No way. Her hands are shaking. She hunts. She scans the battlefield. She ignores the beasts. She ignores the goblins. She watches her father. He is magnificent, a whirlwind of blue light and silver steel. He is everywhere. He is invincible. But wait. A shadow. To his left, a shadow deeper than the others, a shadow that moves against the light. It is Veyron, her brother. He is cloaked in his darkest magic. He is stalking their father. He raises a dark blade. No, Alistrae screams. The traitor, my brother. No, it can't be. Her mother's voice echoes. You will see the shadow. Do not hesitate. Fire this arrow. She must. Veyron lunges at Corellon's unprotected back. Father. Alistrae fires. En Indi Irtau. She draws, releases, prays. The arrow, the beautiful lying silver arrow, flies. It leaves her bow, and it knows. It is not aimed at Veyron. Ow. It swerves. It turns in midair, a magical, impossible arc of silver light. Veyron smiles beneath his mask. His attack was a feint. He spins away. The arrow flies past him. Antonendi. Corellon feels it, a prick of cold magic. He turns from the goblin chieftain he was about to smite. He turns just in time to see his daughter's arrow. To see the silver truth-teller strike him dead in the chest. There is no pain. Ending now. And says, only cold. Only shock. His eyes find hers across the battlefield. Now, Keishesiwi, Mil, Jaran. Bashi. He sees his daughter, his joy, her bow raised. And his wife, Araushnee, behind her, smiling. No. The thought fades. The poison, God-killing, paralyzing lie, works. The light in Corellon's eyes goes out. So, Sahandrian clatters to the ground. The coronal, the creator, falls. Silence. Anchichel. The battle stops. The wind of Airdrie falters. The trees of Rillifane freeze. The howl of Malar dies. And it is so. Opnid. The entire war pauses. And Illustrae's bow clatters from her paralyzed fingers. I knew. I did not. And no. It is Araushnee. Her scream of agony, of grief, is the loudest sound in the universe. My husband. She rushes to his side. She falls on his still chest. He is slain, she screams, at the Seldarine. She killed him. And she points her perfect, shaking, accusing finger at her own daughter. Baran moves. His shadow agent sees the catatonic, sobbing Alistair. The assassin is taken, mother, he yells. The Seldarine are broken. Inant say. Erdri Hanali Rulifana Sehanina. They cluster around their fallen king. They weep, they stare, they are in shock. This is the moment. The diversion. And Araushnee, kneeling, sobbing hysterically over her husband's body. Her eyes flicker to the great wards of Arvandor. With a cold, dark, final yank, she tears the tapestry of their defense apart. A new sound. A sucking, gurgling, slurping sound. Noon chill, ow. A stench of ammonia and rot. From the ground itself, a viscous, sickly green substance oozes up from the moss. Gaunadawa, that which lurks, has arrived. The true war has begun. The sound of the battlefield is gone. Ander. Nishawain way. There is only a new sound. A slurping, a gurgling, a wet, sucking sound that pulls at your very soul. The air, once filled with the clang of steel and the howl of beasts, is now thick. It smells of ammonia, of ancient primal rot. Gaunadar, that which lurks, the elder eye. It has arrived. From the moss, from the ground, from the very soil of Arvandor, it rises, not as a creature, but as a force. A tide of viscous, sickly green and purple ooze. It pours onto the battlefield, and the gods stop. Mala's beasts whimper. They try to run. The ooze touches them, and they dissolve. Their fur, their muscle, their bone become part of the slime. Maglubiet's legions break. The iron discipline shatters. The goblins scream. They are consumed. They are consumed. This is not war. This is digestion. The Seldarine are horrified. This is an abomination, an ancient elemental evil that should not be. Corellon had known. As he fell, he realized. Only the presence of true evil within Arvandor could open the door to a horror of such power. And in this new, unimaginable chaos, all eyes are off the Queen. All eyes are on the ooze, except for Sehanine. Ishal Wundiu. Ichal Erdeo Sao. Araushnee is perfect. Ishim is perfect. She is still kneeling, her body racked with perfect sobs. She clutches her fallen husband. The Seldarine, Rilifane, Erdri, Hanale, are broken. They cluster around her. What do we do? Hanale's voice is a broken whisper. He is not dead, Erdri gasps, her wings trembling. He is immobilized. This poison has stolen his soul. I can save him. Araushnee's voice cuts through the grief. She pulls from her gown a small crystalline vial. It glows with a soft healing light. Water from Elysium, she sobs. Infused with healing herbs from the heart of our home. It will restore him. This is it. This is the master stroke. This is the final gambit. The vial is not a tonic. It is a poison of such diabolical subtlety that it will not kill him. It will plunge the leader of the Seldarine into an eternal unwaking slumber. It will create a vacuum of power. Aye, a vacuum that she will fill. And her backup plan, her beautiful final weave. If anyone ever questions this vial, she will disclose a simple, devastating truth. It was Araushnee who gathered the herbs. And Iel. It was Araushnee who brewed the potion. E.g., her daughter's guilt will be absolute. Araushnee smiles through her tears. In victory, in Tao, she lifts the vial. She uncorks it. She moves it toward Corellan's lips. Flash. A ray of pure silver moonlight. An. Kender. N. It strikes not her, but the vial. It hits the crystal with the force of a thunderbolt. The vial explodes. It shatters into 1,000 pieces. The poison evaporates in a hiss of black smoke. Araushnee freezes. And Tingatao Elio. Etinate Kail. Her hand is empty. Her mask is gone. The grief, the sorrow, evaporates. Her perfect face contorts. It twists into a snarl of pure, unadulterated hatred. Who dares? She looks up. Inchel, Nishani. And there, standing among the Seldarine, her silver hair shining with cold, iridescent light, her face statuesque and serene, but her eyes burning with righteous fury. Sihanina Mournbo. Nistasio, Adet Kier. Ao, Alam Siorin. She is free. End. Araushnee's rage is absolute. She looks wildly at her son, Veyron. He failed her. No. Araushnee screams. It is not a scream of grief. It is a scream of frustration. One more day, she shrieks, her voice cracking with madness. One more day and I would have had everything. She loses all composure. Gandhi. The queen is gone. The monster is here. She raises her hand, a dark claw of shadow magic, to strike the moon goddess down. Enough. Sehanina's voice is not loud, but it silences the battlefield. Your words betray you, Araushnee. Ow. Be mindful, Sehanin continues. Her voice is cold as moonlight on ice, that the council that will consider these words stands here in witness of what you have said and done. Araushnee laughs. A harsh, ugly sound. And it was a dear Hejiri. Council? Who will call this council? You? None here are Corellan's equal. Sehanina glances at her fellow goddesses. She looks at Airdrie Fenya, goddess of the sky. She looks at Hanali Selanil, goddess of love. Goddess of love. A moment passes, an eon, a silent understanding. And the three goddesses step together. Airdrie and Hanali flank Sehanin, and from all three, a luminous mist rises. The mist coalesces into a single goddess of impossible beauty and daunting power. Mountain Tower. Araushnee Staras. She stumbles back. She knows with absolute certainty that she is beholding her own successor. The new goddess speaks. Her voice is wind. Inda, ein, un. Her voice is moonlight. Inin. Her voice is music. I am Angharad. From the essence of the three greatest elven goddesses am I born. Indishodliagan. And Chain Tao, Sujis. I am three, and I am one. 3. To ensure that treachery never again enters the heart of a goddess of Arvandor. And 1. To stand at Corellan's side, on Adir Jc. The triune goddess turns from Araushnee. Antizipoi, Anteo. She touches her hand lightly to Corellan's head, and again to his heart. The dark aura parts. His wounds close. The elf lord opens his eyes. He is awake. He sits up. His gaze is clear. Now, in charm, late. He looks past the wondrous new goddess Angharad. And he looks past his weeping friends. And he looks at one person. Shalwa, say it in new. His gaze settles on Araushnee. His eyes hold no confusion. No, it is Drow. They hold two things: terrible, unfathomable heartbreak, and equally strong resolve. Ito. He stands. It shall, near, wouch, and he speaks. A great evil has entered our midst. Our knees. We must confront it now, for the sake of the Seldarine, and all our elven children. He looks at the horror-struck face of his wife. The council is convened. Breathe in, and feel the silence. The unbearable, crushing silence of the council. The battlefield is still. And the ooze of Garnador has receded. It sensed the awakening of Corellan, sensed the power of Angharad. It has slunk back into the darkness to wait. The hordes are broken, fleeing. There is no sound but the weeping of Hanali Selanil, and the cold, steady gaze of Corellan Lorethian. Shun Chang. He has spoken. The council is convened. He looks around with his king warrior artist's face. Impassive. He will not be the judge. He cannot be. He is the victim. He gestures to Angharada, the triune goddess. Let any who would speak, speak freely. Sehanina Moonbo. Her essence stepping forward from the light of Angharada, stands in the center of the circle. She looks at Araushnee, and she begins to speak. Her voice is not a whisper. It is clear. It is cold. It is silver, and it cuts through the silence. I am Sehni Moonbo, and I am the witness. I suspected, she says, looking at Corellan. When you first spoke of Araushnee's insistence that you meet Groomsh, I felt the dark weave she spun into your scabbard, a lie hidden beneath a rune of protection. Araushnee's eyes narrow. Interndy, Ishaman, Yitior Taunani. I watched the battle, Zanin continues. I cried out as I saw Sahandrian shatter. I poured all my divine magic into reforging the blade. I brought it to my lord and aided him in his victory. Corellan's hand clutches the hilt of his sword. He nods. He remembers. And then, Sehaneen's voice wavers for the first time. I committed my own foolishness. I believed I could dissuade her. I believed that reason could pull her back from this madness. I confronted her, alone. I told her I knew. Araushnee smiles, a cold, smug smile. She was waiting, Sehaneen says. She knew my power wanes with the rising sun. She struck, she ensnared me in a web of malevolent power. And then, she called him. Sehaneen turns, her burning silver eyes on Viraun. Genji, her son, her accomplice. He took me. He carried me far from Arvandor, to a dark pit, a prison of shadow where my light could not reach. She left me to rot. Viraun. See scoffs. I confess this to the council, Sehaneen says, her voice low. To escape, I had to give up a great power. I tore a hole in reality. I arrived here weakened, but just in time, just in time, to see her administer not a cure, but this. Sehaneen points to the black, scorched mark on the ground, where the vial shattered. The final poison, the final treason. Sehaneen finishes this. She steps back into the light of Ankara. All eyes turn to Viraun. Indilo Itamade, Moda to see, Ajantawawan. Well, Eravan Isra asks, his voice lacking all humor. And Viraun laughs. She speaks the truth, he says, his voice arrogant, defiant. I did it. I imprisoned the Moon Witch. And I would do it again. My mother's vision is true. The elves are meant for dominion, not dance. And you, he sneers at Corellan, you are a foolish artist, not a king. You are weak, and my mother is strong. Silence. Rilifane Ralatil roars, his voice the crack of ancient wood. And what of her? Hanali Selenil whispers, her voice broken. She points to Ilastree. Inaudi, Inakshanal, Edartil Chawajir, Sel. The Dark Maiden is still held by Viraun's guards. Her face is streaked with tears. She's catatonic, shaking. Irdri Fenya moves like lightning. She blasts the guards away with a howl of wind. One. Ilastree collapses. Enda. Release her, Corellan says, his voice gentle. Down. Irdri helps the young goddess to her feet. Widdy. Ashinthintatu, Aninatawa. Ilastree, Corellan says, and his voice is filled with a pain that eclipses all else. Tell us. Andy. Ilastree looks at him. Her father, her idol. Inchetumwa. And the dam breaks. She falls to her knees. She weeps, a storm of grief and guilt. She told me. Ilastree sobs, her voice muffled, nearly unintelligible. Speak, child, Angharat says, her triune voice soft. She told me you were in danger, Ilastree wails, looking at Corellan. She said the traitor was here. She said I was the only one who could stop him. She gave me the arrow. She points at Araushnee. She said it was a beacon, a truth teller. She said it would not harm, would only reveal. She said it was made of her love for you. I saw Varan, she screams, looking at her brother. I saw him lunge. I thought he was the traitor. I fired to save you, father. I swear it. I never knew. I was only trying to protect you. Her voice dies. She collapses into sobs. Silence. The truth is bare. The treachery is absolute. A mother tricking her daughter into murdering her father. Anhara turns her 3-in-1 gaze upon Araushnee. The other Seldarine turn. Endinal sees. Their faces are not anger. They are disgust. The verdict is spoken by the crime itself. Ankarat says, banishment. Bendisment. The word hangs. Corellon looks at Araushnee. He walks toward her. And Issy, and Khan, at jail, ARJ. He stops just before her. Why? He asks. His voice is soft, a genuine question. Why? Araushnee looks up. Endel. Her face is no longer twisted. Sao, hin. It is calm. It is cold. It is beautiful. And it is filled with pure contempt. And she speaks. I held in my hands the destinies of mortal beings. She says, her voice silky. But were they ever truly mine? No, they are all devoted to yours, the fools. You treated me, she hisses me, the one who shined the brightest of us all, as some possession, to be cherished, to be coddled, all while standing in the way of everything I desired. Hind. Never, Corellon whispers, heartbreak in his eyes. Never did I mean you disrespect. I loved you. Araushnee, and you will live to regret it. She spits at his feet. The trial is over. The time for judgment has come. Breathe in, each eyes, and feel the weight, the terrible heavy silence of judgment. The council is over. The truth is known. Corellon Larasian, coroner, king, and broken husband, turns from his wife. His gaze is clear. His resolve is iron. He turns first to his son. Ande, Finland, still defiant, arms crossed, sneering at his father. Though you also betrayed us, Corellon says, his voice level and cold, you have earned a different fate than her. You are young, and merely followed your mother's bidding. It is tragic that this path led you into evil. You must learn to think and live on your own. In time, perhaps you can redeem yourself, and return to the fellowship of Arvandor. But for now, Corellon raises his hand. You must find a place in the mortal world. Alone. I am banished. Veron states it. He does not ask, he smiles, a cold, thin smile. Good. I was tired of this garden anyway. My mother's empire will still be built, and I will build mine in the shadows. He turns and walks away. He does not look back. He fades into the shadows and is gone. Corellon watches him go. His face hardens. Inchin, I. He turns to his daughter. Nenja. Ishai. Ilisre. Endistre. She is still on her knees, sobbing, broken. The Seldarine look at her with pity. She is innocent. She is absolved. Daughter, Corellon says, his voice softening. He reaches out a hand to lift her. But Ilistre flinches. She crawls back. No, she whispers. Her voice is raw. No, I am not innocent. Child, Angharad says, her voice like music. You were deceived. You held no malice. My hand, Ilistre whispers, staring at her own trembling fingers. My hand fired the arrow. My heart was foolish enough to be tricked. I am stained. She looks up at Araushnee, at her mother, who stares back with cold, empty eyes. The elves, Ilistre whispers. There are elves who followed her, who believed her, who prayed to her. They are not all like Veron. They are just lost. What will happen to them? Corellon pauses. Indiwell, Ichanis Idikel, so. They who chose her ambition over my light will share her fate. They too are banished. Then I am banished too. Corellon's eyes widen. No. Ilistre, you are absolved. You? No, she cries, standing. Her face is streaked with tears, but now filled with terrible resolve. I will not be absolved. I will not stay in this paradise. My hand did the deed, and those people, her followers, my people, my siblings, they will be cast into darkness, just as I was. She, Ilistre points at Araushnee, will lead them into tyranny. Varon will lead them into shadow. Who will lead them into light? She draws her silver sword. She plants it in the ground. I choose my fate. I will follow them. I will share their banishment. I will go into the darkness with them, and I will be their light. I will be the song in the silent night. I will be the dance in the empty caves. I will give them another choice. Corellon looks at his daughter, his brave, broken, beautiful daughter, and how his heart breaks again. Indulgino. He nods. Slowly. Alas, Araushnee, Ilistre has chosen. Go now and take her with you. He looks at Araushnee, his voice turning to adamant. But know this, the day your hand is lifted against her will be the last of your life. This I swear by all the trees in Arvandor. Araushnee laughs, a dry husk of a sound. She does not care. Finally, Corellon stands before his fallen love. He looks at her. He sees her. The artisan, the queen, the beauty, the traitor, the monster. Araushnee, he says. His voice is hollow. Your sentence has been spoken by the Seldarine. For what you have done, for what you have become. You consorted with demons. You allied with our enemies. You brought abomination into our home. You are declared demon. Yea, be what you are, and go where you must. He lifts his hand, and with that word, Araushnee begins to change. It is not fast, it is horrific. And she screams. Her perfect slender body bloats. It swells, it darkens. Her beautiful limbs lengthen. They twist, they break, and reform. Her gown tears away. Her skin turns to black chitting. Joints appear where no joints should be. Her limbs divide and divide again. Four legs, 6, 8, long, spider-like limbs burst from her torso. Her lower body distends, swelling into the grotesque of human thorax of a monstrous spider. Indo. She rises up, a nightmare centaur, the upper body of a beautiful drow-like goddess fused to the body of a colossal black spider. Araushnee, the cunning weaver, the treacherous lover, had become a spider-shaped monstrosity. But the most terrible of all was her face. Her beauty was not altered, but it was now stripped of all artifice. It was twisted with pure, unadulterated hatred. She was Lolth. And, as she changed, so too did her followers. Across the plains, every elf who had chosen her ambition. Their skin burned. It turned from sylvan white and brown to the color of polished obsidian. Their hair, leached of color, turned to ash white. Their eyes burned red. They were the Drow, the dark elves, banished from the light forever. Gowl. And behind the screaming spider monstrosity, reality tore open. A dark whirling portal, a vortex of chaos and evil. The abyss. It pulled at her. She was cast within. The Seldarine watched. They listened to her voice cursing them, cursing Corellon, swearing vengeance upon all things Elven. Alistrae clutched her sword, took one last look at her father, and leapt in after her. The portal snapped shut. She was gone. Silence. Corellon stood alone in his wounded paradise. The new goddess Ankarad came to his side. Day. He stood for a long moment. He reflected on his past, how he had slighted the Orc Lord so long ago, how he and his people had made so many enemies, how he had been blind to his wife's ambition, careless with her emotions, deaf to her voice. He saw in his children the same faults he now, for the first time, saw in himself. The battle for the control of Avendor is over, he said, his voice ancient and weary. It seems we have won. But I fear that for the Elven people, the struggle has just begun. Deep, deep within the darkest pit, known as the Abyss, the spider monstrosity stood over the dead body of the demon lord that once ruled this lair. She had challenged him. She had slain him. This new form had its uses. And this layer of the abyss was hers now. The 66th layer, Sha-1D, as were the hordes of chaotic demons that generated from its chaotic evil essence. In defeat, she had found a victory. So, she began to weave, not destiny, but a web. A web of darkness and spite and malice. A web that would span the plains. A demon web pit. Araushnee was an Elven name, and she would destroy all things Elven. I see you. From this day forth, she would be known by her true name. She would be known as Lolth, the Spider Queen. Thank you for listening. Now to each other. If you enjoyed this story, this journey into the lore, please let me know. You can do so by leaving a like and perhaps a comment below. If you would like to hear more stories from the deep lore of Dungeons and Dragons, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us continue to explore these lost legends. But for now, it is time to rest. Let the image of the demon web fade. Let the sorrow of our Vandor dissolve. Close your eyes and sleep. Sleep well. Ishanti. Now,